One thing about me, I'm not gonna block God's plan.
It was another violent weekend across Columbus. 6 shootings left 3 people dead and multiple others injured. Her friends say they're struggling with the loss.
Her life was just cut down tragically, and it overwhelmed everyone who's involved in it. It is honestly something that we never expected to come in contact with.
"30-year-old Shamira Rhodes was a kind, outgoing, charismatic, fun-loving woman. Most importantly, she was the mother of 3 beautiful children. She was also a hustler, making ends meet as a hairdresser and entertainer. Like she often did, Shamira decided to hang out one night at a local club. Little did she know, this would be a tragic decision. Around 4:45 a.m. on September 25th, Columbus police were called to the Queen of Hearts Club on Columbus's east side in the 5500 block of East Livingston Avenue for reports of a shooting. Upon arrival, they would find 2 female victims suffering from gunshot wounds.
One of those shootings happened inside the Queen of Hearts pub on East Livingston Avenue earlier this morning. 10 TV's Kiana Dyches rushed to the scene and spoke to a business owner who's frustrated with the violence in this neighborhood.
This is a big issue here.
Violence again shaking this East Livingston Avenue shopping plaza. Police say shots were fired inside the Queen of Hearts pub around 4:30 Sunday morning.
With this type of risk, this type of environment, it's bad.
Deborah King owns Debbie's Daycare a few doors down from where the shooting happened. She says the violence at her front door affects business and her customers' peace of mind.
And I want my parents to be comfortable when they bring their children, but to know this kind of stuff at a bar, which is a neighbor to us, has this kind of activity, that's a problem for me because I've lost children before based on situations that took place under the prior owner.
Prior issues, she says, includes fighting like what you see here from May last year.
My concern is losing my parents. I'm already struggling, with COVID and whatnot, so this just mounts it up. Makes it even worse how far we're going to be able to stay open. This might be a turning point right here.
The victim was identified as 30-year-old Shamira Rhodes, who was sadly pronounced dead at the scene. A 17-year-old girl was rushed to a local hospital in critical condition. A 42-year-old woman also was shot and left the scene. Police said she drove to Mount Carmel East and is in stable condition. According to police, a fight broke out inside the club, and during the fight, at least 1 handgun was produced and shots were fired. Investigators are still working to determine what caused the fight and are looking for 2 persons of interest wanted for questioning in the homicide. Shamira's family and friends say they never expected something like this to happen. Her life was cut down tragically, and it overwhelmed everyone who was involved, including the other victims and their family and friends, along with people within the community. A close friend says that where she was in the moment does not define who she was as a person or character or how this case is looked at. In a heartfelt Facebook post, a close friend stated the following: "A broken-hearted girl just trying to find a way to fix every piece. Assertive. That's why people would think you were mean. But truth be told, you just stood on business. So many people want to speak on who you used to be and not who you were becoming. Why? Because you protected your own energy, so everyone wasn't allowed to get a chance to be a part of the new you. Your intelligence was higher than the average person. Even when you didn't know, you made it a job to learn and find out. Life is a roller coaster that you rode faithfully. Ups and downs, you still finished everything to the end. We always made it a thing to not be too emotional, but right now, I'm emotionless. I'll never understand, and at this point, I don't even want to. The body is something we borrowed during our mission. The soul is eternal. Forever my sister. I'll see you next lifetime." Columbus City Attorney Zach Klein's office says it will ask a judge to hold a bar and property owner in contempt following the shooting. Court records show the bar's previous owners were under an agreed court order to limit its hours, higher security, and not allow anyone to enter under the age of 30, among other stipulations including no loitering and increased signage.
City's attorney's office now planning to take legal action against the bar and property owners.
And according to records, the bar had a court order to cut back on hours, hire security, and restrict who could come in. Here's Chief Investigative Reporter Bennett Haverly with what else he's uncovered. Bennett?
Yolanda, the city attorney's office says even though the bar has changed ownership and its name, that venue is still subject to that court order from February that would have limited hours and require security in place. That's why they plan to ask a judge to hold the bar and the property owners in contempt.
It is overwhelming, truly. Like, she has 3 children.
Tiara Walton described herself as Shamira's sister. While the two aren't blood related, she says she's helping raise one of Shamira's children and is now helping to plan her funeral. Walton says there was an altercation before this weekend's shooting. Columbus police would now like the public's help identifying these women who were in the bar early Sunday morning.
Where she was in that moment does not define who she was as a person or character or how this case should be looked at.
This is unacceptable. And anything that I can do, as I've told the family, as I've told other people, to push back against gun violence, I'm going to continue to do. This was just too much for me.
State Representative Latina Humphrey says she was friends with Shamira and has known her for 18 years. She says this weekend's shooting is a reminder of the current ease placed on gun restrictions and a lack of conflict resolution skills among people.
I don't care what the disagreement was, it didn't need to end in death.
Court records show the city attorney's office had taken legal action against the bar's previous owner, which compelled it to reduce its hours, hire security, and not allow anyone to enter under the age of 30. A clause in the document also states if there's a violation, the court may further close and board up the storefront. That holds true for the previous bar owner or its successor.
You can't just start shutting down all the bars because there is crime out there in the streets.
Attorney Jim Andrioff used to represent the bar's owner when it was called the Pelican Club. He says the city attorney's efforts to restrict or shut down certain bars after shootings won't quell future violence. Just send it elsewhere.
It just doesn't make any sense. It's never going to end.
But don't they bear some responsibility for what happens at their bar or their business?
There's no question that they bear responsibility for what happens at their bar. But if you're a business owner and you're trying to prevent things from happening by getting security detail or getting police, there's a big difference between getting Columbus police as security versus a private security company that doesn't get the same training.
Shamira Rhodes' friends say everyone bears some responsibility.
We're not removing any blame. We're not saying that, that it's entirely their fault. But what we are saying is everyone needs to play the role that they need to play and to stop these things from happening.
And tonight we've been unable to reach the current bar owner despite phone calls and 2 emails sent today. We're also hoping to get a response from the city attorney's office and the Columbus police about their efforts in working with some of these establishments and the enforcements there.
Shamira's murder is the 105th homicide in Columbus in 2022. The Columbus Division of Police is asking for the public's help in identifying the 2 persons of interest. The investigation is ongoing.